Good evening. I'm Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Anthony Strait, sitting in for Sean Roman.
And this is the On the Sports Lines NFL Kickoff Special. There's no need to ask the annual question. We are so ready for some football. The NFL kicks off tonight as the defending champion Seattle Seahawks take on the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk burning issues and bold predictions for the Jets and the Giants, go around the NFL and make our Super Bowl predictions. All that plus a special fan on the street piece. As always, we want to hear from you, so email us at fanspeak@onthesportslines.com, send your tweets to @onthesportslines, and your posts to facebook.com/onthesportslines. We just may read them on the show.
Do I have to say the line now, that even though Sean's not here?
No.
We'll read them.
Yeah, exactly.
We will.
They will be read.
Well, the Jets open the season at home against the Oakland Raiders. Is the 2014 edition of Gang Green ready to make the leap from 8-8 outsider looking in to playoff team? Our guys will take a look at the issues that are still burning and make some bold predictions for the season. Steve, start us off. Give me one burning issue and one bold prediction.
Well, the burning issue's got to be the depleted secondary. And you can go anywhere you want with this. I mean, you've got Dimitri Patterson, who was just cut recently. You've got Dee Milner, who's out. You've got Anthony Allen playing cornerback, and they just picked up Leon McFadden because they were desperate from Cleveland.
I know. Like I said, who?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that could be a huge problem for them. As for the secondary, the prediction.
A bold prediction.
A bold prediction. I am saying that Eric Decker will not be the leading receiver.
Really? Who are you going with?
I'm going with Jeremy Curley.
Interesting.
Because I think he's really matured to a level where he can take the job at number one. Decker will be a great guy to have back there, but I think they're going to double him a lot, and I think Curley's going to be the guy who's going to be open the most.
All right. I'll tell you what, my issue, and this is no surprise to anybody here, is quarterback play. Consistent quarterback play, I think, will still be a burning issue for the Jets. NFL QBs are expected to make the significant jump year one to year two, so all eyes are going to be on Geno Smith. Will he make that jump? Especially coming off the 4-game stretch to close out the season, went 3-1, passer ratings over 80 in the wins. Positive touchdown to interception ratio, which was unusual for him. 3 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I think the addition of Eric Decker as the nominal number one receiver, if you will, Steve. Chris Johnson to the backfield, drafting Chase Amaro. These are supposed to provide Smith with playmakers, which he did not have last year.
He did not.
Here's the thing, though. I think Decker's going to find it a lot tougher being the primary focus of coverage, as you just mentioned.
Yes, he will.
And it's going to be not the same when you don't have Peyton Manning throwing you the football.
That's also true.
Johnson, despite his own comments, I don't think he is anywhere near or will ever be again the running back who could home run anytime he touched the ball. And Amaro's unproven. Now, David Lee, who's the Jets quarterback coach, says that Smith's development has been going along nicely, better command of the offense that he didn't have last year. Confidence is up. Smith believes his confidence in himself and his teammates is bolstered by his increased understanding of the offense. Here's what it comes down to, guys. It's all well and good. Smith has to exhibit consistency week in, week out. Footwork, ball security, accuracy, decision-making, ability to go through his reads both pre-snap and post-snap, and his progressions, okay? It all ties together. Eyes, arm, feet. Smith needs to have this every single week if the Jets are to improve. Here's my bold prediction, because I'm not 100% sure he can pull this off. Michael Vick will start at least 2 games this season, and not because of injury.
Wow.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going out on a limb there.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
And since you mentioned Chris Johnson, my burning question and my burning issue for the Jets is actually the running game. Now, when you look at the Jets, they actually have a pretty good 1-2 combination with Chris Johnson and Chris Ivory, who ran for 800 yards last season, led the Jets in rushing. It's a good combination of balance and speed. With Johnson, you have the speed combination. You got the speed. With Chris Ivory, you also have a short yardage running back who can pick up those tough yards. They're also pretty good receivers out of the backfield. So offensive coordinator Martin, if he's smart, you incorporate some more screens. You want to get these guys out into the open field and let them get them in space. And also include this, the wildcat and the quarterback option. You have two quarterbacks who can run. And we know Michael Vick is historically one of the best running quarterbacks in all time. But Geno Smith as well, he'll get you for 6 or 7 cheaper yards. But what that does with the running game is it brings that safety up to the line of scrimmage, that extra 8-man in the box. And what that will do, it should free up some more one-on-one outside with the wide receivers with Decker, with Curley. And if you're a young quarterback, you need your running game to really pick you up. And trust me, a young quarterback's best friend is a stout running game.
That's right.
Absolutely.
My bold prediction for the Jets is this is Rex Ryan's swan song.
Oh, you think he's done no matter what?
He's done, period?
He's going to be on TV by the time next season, talking about the NFL season opener. I just think he overachieved his first 2 seasons. He got by with a great stout defense, average offensive attack. But the last 3 years has really exposed how limited he is in terms of his offensive mentality. And you know what? Too much bark, not even a throw of the bite. You just can't. Hey, look, when you're not backing up your talk, it's time to go.
We'll see, definitely.
Interesting.
Well, guys, the Giants open the season on the road against the Detroit Lions. The 2014 G-Men are looking to rebound from a mediocre 2013 and return to the playoffs. Our guys will take a look at the issues that are still burning and make some bold predictions for the season. Jay, start us off. Give me a burning issue and a bold prediction.
Burning issue is Eli Manning in the passing game. Come on. If the preseason's any indication, the first team offense, Eli in particular, is having a wee bit of trouble picking up new offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo's up-tempo West Coast spread that he brought over from the Packers. Eli has been saying all summer, and this is game film to the contrary, that the offense is almost there. But you know, he also expects the offense to be a work in progress, at least for part of the season. The big question is, how many games does part of the season entail? And now, granted, they've had some injuries to what was expected to be a very deep wide receiving core. They don't have a legitimate pass-catching tight end, which is important in this offense. And I'm sorry, despite Coach Tom Coughlin's claim to the contrary that they were focusing on the running game in the preseason and his belief that things will improve once they zoom in on an all-encompassing game plan. I'm sorry, you can't mask the fact that Eli was 20 for 41, under 50% for only 188 yards, 1 TD in preseason against opponents' #1 defenses. Confusion, I think, is the best word to describe the passing attack at the moment. Eli didn't throw a pick, but he and his receivers were seemingly are still not on the same page. Rashad Jennings and Andre Williams look to be pretty solid as a running game, 1-2 tandem there. Defense is a pretty solid secondary. They picked up Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and Walter Thurmond to add to bolster Prince Amukamara out on the perimeter. Stevie Brown, who was a hell of a ball hawk.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Before he got hurt, is back alongside Antrell Roll. Linebackers are average, though the return of John Beeson helps. But I tell you this, I don't even think a return to Pro Bowl form by Jason Pierre-Paul is going to get the Giants' pass rush back to elite status. Eli and the passing game need to get themselves together sooner rather than later. It's going to be a very rough season for the G-Men. Here's my bold prediction. Eli and the offense will not figure out themselves and get on the same page in time, and the Giants will miss the playoffs because, I'm sorry, this is the NFC least, and the only way you're making the playoffs is by winning the division.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let me add to that, Jay, when you talk about Eli. Turnovers. and he's as guilty of them as anybody. And the Giants, to me, are one of the worst teams when it comes to turnovers. Coughlin is a stickler for getting them to play the right way, and yet you'll see turnovers, interceptions, holding, fumbles, defensive holding, you name it, and they'll do it. And they're horrible, and you can't win games like that. And if you don't learn the offense along with that, forget it. You have no chance of making the playoffs. Speaking of Eli, if you remember last season, he threw 25 interceptions last year. And with the offensive line and the new system he has to learn, good luck, Eli. It's going to be a long season for you unless you figure it out soon.
What's your bold prediction for the G-Men, Mr. Ferguson?
I have him leading the league in throwing interceptions.
Again?
Again.
Ooh.
Wow.
2 years in a row.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, my burning issue is that Giants offensive line. What a mess we are watching right now. Last season, Eli Manning was sacked a career high 39 times, with 32 of those sacks attributed directly to the offensive line. Now, The pass blocking rate is 69.8%. And Jay, I know you like numbers.
Give it to me.
Second worst behind only the Arizona Cardinals. Man pressure 40.3% of the time. That's 240 snaps in 2013.
Wow.
Now, injuries played a part last season, and they're taking a part this season. Chris Sneeder's gone.
Retired.
Yes, retired.
Jeff Schwartz, the big free agent signing, he is out for the first 8 weeks of the season with the injured toe.
Yep.
Then you have Will Beatty was just
he was horrible.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, he was miserable. Justin Pugh as well, inconsistent. He was very inconsistent. And then Brandon Mosey, James Brewer, banged up. And they signed Adam Snyder off the street, literally yesterday, 24 hours ago. And
in desperation.
Yeah, that's basically saying if the offensive line is not going to hold up, it doesn't matter if Manning and the receivers are safe because Manning's going to be on his back 75% of the time, like he was last season. And it's like it's the pass, it's the scheme, everything. It's just so wrong.
Bold prediction.
My bold prediction is actually counter Steve's.
Really?
Eli Manning, not only he will bounce back, but he will be a Pro Bowler.
Wow.
Really?
In each of the 2 seasons, Eli Manning has thrown 20 or more interceptions. The following year, he has bounced back. His interceptions decreased by half. His passing rate has gone up. And he has been to either as a Pro Bowl or a Pro Bowl alternate in each of those 2 seasons.
It's going to have to be Houdini for
Pretty
that
bold.
to be the case.
Pretty bold.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's time to go around the NFL and take a lightning round look at 3 major season-long storylines. You guys know how this goes. 1 analyst, 1 question, and 1 answer. Steve, first down is yours. Which non-playoff team from 2013 will make it this season?
I have the Atlanta Falcons getting back to the postseason. We all know they had a horrible year last year.
Say the
I
least.
believe they were 2-14 last year. Everything went
Which
wrong
was shocking.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a team that's perennially in the playoffs, and they go pretty deep in the playoffs. When you look at the fact that Tony Gonzalez was hurt most of the year last year, when you look at the fact that their defense was worn out and they played terrible defense last year, and you think about Julius Jones, and he's their best receiver, and he was out most of the year last year. And so what are you left with? You're left with Ryan. And Ryan didn't have time to throw at all last year. He was on his back and being chased and rushed a lot. But if Atlanta comes back to what they normally are, he'll have time to throw, their defense will play better, and even without Tony Gonzalez, they have a good enough offense where I think they'll be back and heard from.
Interesting.
Well, Jay, second down is yours. Which playoff team from 2013 will not make it this season?
Oh, this is easy. The Cincinnati Bengals. Come on now. They lost both their offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden, and their defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, who left for head coaching jobs in Washington and Minnesota, respectively. They were among the best schemers and play callers on their respective sides of the ball. Now, the Bengals' defense is still solid. Playmakers like linebackers Vontaze Burfict, Ray Maluga, Terrence Newman, and Adam Jones in the secondary, safety Reggie Nielsen. Cincinnati also grabbed, in my estimation, the best cornerback in the draft in Darqueze Dennard. Zimmer's replacement, Paul Gunther, shares his mentor's zone blitz philosophies, has the aforementioned players to keep that scheme going. But Gruden's offense, and this is where it lies, they did an admirable job of hiding quarterback Andy Dalton's limitation. Yes, you can hide a quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, you can.
The key among them being his lack of miles per hour on his fastball, which becomes glaringly apparent on sideline out routes and deep balls.
Yes,
these limitations were hugely exposed by the San Diego Chargers in their playoff game last year. So here's the thing. Despite having a solid running back in Giovanni Bernard, a deep and talented wide receiving core led by all-world A.J. Green, here's an ironic stat for you. He was the intended target on 11 of Dalton's 20 interceptions, so obviously they have not fully gotten their chemistry together. The Bengals are, because of all that, despite that, the Bengals are not going to return to the playoffs because they can't hide their quarterback any longer.
You mean fastball or off-speed changeup?
Take your pick, I guess.
All right, Anthony, third down is yours. Which head coach is on the hottest hot seat this season?
Oh, my brother's not going to like this, but I'm picking Jim Harbaugh of the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, I want to hear this.
Thing, 3 straight NFC Championship game appearances, but the NFL is not for long. What have you done for me lately? First off, this is the first issue. His relationship with management is shaky at best. CEO Jed York, General Manager Trey Bong. There's always been some speculation that it's an icy relationship. And on top of things, both sides failed to come to a contract extension. So pretty much, there's a chance that this is make or break for him, or he can go into next season as a lame duck coach. So now, when you add to the fact of all the offseason dramas going on with the 49ers, Alden Smith,
Ray McDonald.
Yes, exactly. And then you then you add it to the fact that Colin Kaepernick, there's even the slightest hint that he regresses. Remember, Jim Harbaugh has bet the farm on Colin Kaepernick being the franchise quarterback. If Kaepernick regresses, and he won't have Michael Crabtree for the first game of the season, so I'm really thinking if Harbaugh doesn't get them over the hump,
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. Wow.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, the NFL has been around for 94 years. If you could play for any team in any single season, which team and which season would you pick? Jay and Steve made their picks on our NFL training camp show at the end of July. Our Tiffany Callahan took to the street to see who New Yorkers would pick. Here's her report.
Thanks, Nisa. New York is a very diverse town with equally diverse NFL loyalties. Our foursome up in the studio is rooting for 4 different teams. Here we are in the heart of Midtown, Penn Station, the Big Apple. We're trying to wrangle up some NFL fans to see what they have to offer. Let's check them out. Would you call yourself an NFL fan?
Definitely.
Okay, so I have one question for you. If you could play for any team in NFL history for one season, who would it be and why?
It's the perfect season. It's the only perfect season that has been for a long time. I would like to play for the most recent world champions, Seattle Seahawks, play on the LOB defense.
Thanks, Tiffany, and welcome to On the Sports Lines. Well, Anthony and I didn't get a chance to weigh in on this one, so we're going to throw our 2 cents in now. Anthony, which team, which season?
Oh, wow. I have to go with the 1999 St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. What a Cinderella story that was. Kurt Warner out of nowhere MVP, Marshall Faulk, Isaac King, Torrey Hall, Isaac Bruce. That defense was so underrated, led by Kevin Carr. And let's not forget Mike Jones saved the day. Kevin Dice at the 1 yard line. But Dick Vermeil really took caught my eye. He was out of the league for such a long time. Come back. Finally got his happy ending, and he showed that, hey, it's okay for grown men to cry.
Absolutely.
Yes, he did.
Story.
Great
Very
story.
true. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone is
I think we know where she's going.
I don't think anyone's going to be surprised
Should we
here.
say it with you?
No, I'm going to go with my hometown. My team, for those who don't know, that's my hometown and my team, and still the only undefeated perfect season ever, the 1972 Miami Dolphins. I mean, just to be a part of something like that, sorry 07 Patriots, but you couldn't go all the way. Still the only team to ever do it all the way through, and never happened before, and may not ever happen again. So
Mercury Morris would approve of this message.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Very good.
No further arguments necessary.
There you go.
Well, it's that time again, guys. Time to look ahead to February 1st, 2015, and predict who will be playing for the Lombardi Trophy in Super Bowl 49. We'll go around the horn. Anthony, start us off.
Wow, you know what? For me, the Denver Broncos is still the class of the AFC. I know you got New England, I know you got Indianapolis, but I can't go against Peyton Manning at all. And even without Wes Welker, he still got plenty of weapons. But also what catches my eye with them is adding DeMarcus Well. You got him on the other side of Von Miller, gets a lot more to that pass rush. So I'm picking Denver out of the AFC. The NFC I was back and forth, but I'm going with the Who Dat Nation, the New Orleans Saints.
Really?
Yes.
Right.
Drew Brees, but I love what Rex Ryan did with that defense last year. They're going to get better in year 2. My prediction, 31-24, New Orleans over Denver.
Wow. Steve, who you got?
Well, I'm going a totally different route from Anthony. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers as one team because I think they have as much talent as anybody outside of maybe Seattle. But if you look at what San Francisco can do offensively and defensively, I think you might pick them. And the team that we all hate, which I think you all know where I'm going with this, the New England Patriots to face them.
I knew you were going there.
And the reason I'm going with them is because I've heard their defense has improved a lot, especially with Revis there. And we all know what Tom Brady can do under pressure, so I've got to go with those two teams.
I am with you from the AFC. I am taking the Patriots for pretty much the same reasons. Tom Brady got some underrated but good stable of playmakers. Revis joining.
And they'll have Gronkowski back.
Be interested to see what Belichick changes on defense now that they
you
can
know
have
who
his
he'll
safeties
do
being ball Hawkins. And here's the other thing. The reason I don't go with Denver is because runners-up do not come back. My pick from the NFC is the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers is back and healthy. 6-2 with him, 2-5-1 without him. They get Julius Peppers on defense, but him healthy, Randall Cobb healthy. I go New England, Green Bay.
Well, for once, Jay and I don't pick the same thing, and Anthony and I are going the same way. I got Saints and Broncos too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
We'll see how that all turns out.
That music means it's time for the 3-minute warning. Anthony, lead us off.
September brings us the start of football season, and in baseball, the home stretch to the pennant races around MLB. However, this September and the last several has meant that the lights will go dark in Flushing. For the 8th straight season, there will be no October baseball for the Metropolitans. The Amazers are on track for the 6th straight losing season since 2008. General Manager Sandy Alderson's prediction of 90 wins is as big as a joke now as it was 6 months ago. Manager Terry Collins seems clueless, and there aren't enough punchline jokes to describe the Wilpons as owners of a major league team. Curtis Granderson has forgotten that he no longer plays in Yankee Stadium while being miscast as a cleanup hitter. David Wright is putting up career-low numbers across the board, while the team has batted just .216 since the All-Star break. So yet another September where the scenes of broken promises are made up of the many empty seats, while the home run apple in center field hasn't made enough appearances to keep a witch doctor, let alone a normal doctor, away from Flushing to call the time of death on the 2014 New York Mets. I wonder, is there a paper bag big enough to fit on the head of Mr. May?
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Ray, you've got no game. In football, the name Ray used to stand for former standout players. Ray Berry, the Hall of Fame wide receiver who played for the Baltimore Colts. Ray Rhodes, former Giants standout, 49ers and Eagles head coach. But in recent times, the name Ray has stood for jailbird, almost convicted felon. And now, the latest incredible charges of domestic violence twice in the last few weeks. I'm talking about players like former players Ray Caruth, Ray Lewis, and current player Ray Rice. Now, for good measure, you can add Ray McDonald to this wretched wall of shame. Apparently, this jerk didn't get the memo that you can't take 6'4", 300-pound hands and smack your pregnant girlfriend down to the floor at a party at 2 in the morning, or any other time for that matter, as your teammates clammed up about it. Good to see that Goodell finally decided to lower the boom on McDonald, unlike he failed to do with Rice, who thought senselessly dragging his unconscious now wife on a hotel floor was the cool thing to do after he nearly killed her. Maybe now, McDonald, after your 6-game suspension, you'll see the light and straighten up, or next time you'll be dumped down your butt. Then you'll see the game doesn't need you, man. Reality bites, eh, Ray? Suffer on, you fool. I have no sympathy for the likes of crud like you.
I have not been very happy with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell of late.
from his seemingly head-in-the-sand stance on the concussion issue plaguing the sport to his mishandling of the Ray Rice situation and several other things in between. But I have to give credit where credit is due in the way he handled the disciplining of Colts owner Jim Irsay after he pleaded guilty to a charge of driving while intoxicated. Goodell has suspended Irsay for 6 games, fined him $500,000, the maximum allowable under NFL rules. Now, the immediate response from players was that Goodell was taking it easy on one of his bosses. Check the CBA, guys, you'll find that's not true. A player with his first offense being a DUI misdemeanor, which is what Irsay got, would get no suspension and only be fined $50,000. You can take the position that Goodell should have been harsher on Irsay because owners should be held to a higher standard and that the fine is chump change to a billionaire like Irsay. Now, that may be true, but the reality is that Goodell had to walk a very fine line here, disciplining one of his bosses without causing a lot of them to go ballistic and can him for doing so. Goodell just doesn't have the same hold over his owners that, say, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver does over his. Now, while he's suspended, Irsay can't be at the team facility or offices, can't be at games or at practices, can't represent the team in any league business, and he can't give interviews. But what's really going to drive him nuts is that he can't be on Twitter during his suspension. And for Jim Irsay, that may be the cruelest penalty of all.
Well, the NCAA finally got something right. The top 5 power conferences will now be able to offer stipends of $2,000 to $5,000 per student athlete for things like food, clothing, and going out, in addition to any scholarships they have. These conferences will have autonomy to make their own rules within these limits. But more importantly, there will be fewer restrictions on athletes speaking with agents and pursuing off-field paid opportunities. This is a major philosophy change and a complete 180 from the previous policy. How many college athletes have gotten in trouble for having even one conversation with an agent or trying to make a few bucks from an autograph? This policy change is minor enough to maintain the integrity of college sports, but major enough to have a huge impact on the players and their futures. The NCAA has always operated like a cartel, overseeing a multi-billion-dollar business while treating its players like amateurs and giving them the shaft. Well, they can now be treated as what they truly are, essentially the minor leagues for football and basketball. These are great strides and a big step towards a fairer system for the kids we root for on Saturdays in the fall and in the madness of March. For Jay Kaplan, Steve Ferguson, and Anthony Strait, I'm Nisa Petrilli. Thanks for spending part of your evening with us. We'll see you on September 18th for another edition of On the Sports Lines. Remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of the ones you might have missed, check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines and check out our blog on onthesportslines.blogspot.com. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.